Welcome. I could do both. Welcome to episode 35.
Wow, she had the clicker in her hand and she was totally ready to do it and she didn't do it.
I stopped myself.
Look at that growth. That was really, she literally was like, I saw her stop herself.
You really see the magic happen. The fight behind my eyes. It says I have impulse control issues.
No, I mean, now you clearly have conquered it.
Get to the edge of the cliff on my tiptoes and almost pull a muscle trying to pull myself back.
Yes. Yes.
So, yeah, episode 35.
Welcome.
Or 36, maybe? I don't know.
Not sure. It's probably going to get cut because now we had a debate about it and we're not sure.
Yep.
What are we? Oh, I'm Garrett.
I'm Katie.
Do we have any housekeeping items? I don't think we do.
I don't think so. Not that I'm aware of. Welcome to our new listeners. We love it.
What's up?
Yeah, keep leaving us those 5-star reviews, especially like Apple Podcasts. I know it sounds stupid, but if you write out a review,
it's quite impactful.
Yeah, it actually like gets us into, if you listen to the last episode, the algorithm so that we can get recommended to more people, which is cool because then we can get more cool and exciting guests on and get more exposure. And of course, you know, allows us to ultimately bring you guys more content and stuff. So,
well, guess like when we were on the Neurodivergent Nurses podcast recently, that you can listen to on her feed.
Yeah, that was really fun. I'm excited.
That was super fun, and it was so amazing and surreal listening to us in the context of somebody else's podcast.
I know, yeah.
I almost pooped my pants.
It was very exciting. I'm excited to potentially have her back when you're on maternity leave as my guest co-host.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how, like, her take on our research and all that stuff, because she's way more scientific than I am.
Yeah, like we try our best, but we're non-clinicians, so
right. Yeah,
you are truly like explain to me like I'm 5 how the body works.
Yes, I really thrive in the Miss Frizzle environment.
Yeah. We are magic school busing our way through. Instead of a gravy train, it's magic school bus.
Now I just need a dress with all the planets on it.
That would be cool,
including Pluto. And that
sounds fun.
That'd be a good Halloween costume.
Yeah, Miss Frizzle. Mm-hmm. Somebody else could be a bus.
Oh my god, that'd be great. And then my cat that is always on my shoulder can be the lizard. Or pet iguana.
Yes.
Or a chameleon, I think it was.
I think it was a chameleon. Either way, I think that Sophie would be a really great choice for that because
she'd also love me putting her in a costume for sure. She wouldn't fight me on it.
Definitely not. She definitely wouldn't plot your demise after that. Before when she saw you buy the costume. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you listen to our PTSD episode, we were giving it a shot recording remotely, which went very well.
It did.
And
the fight from my cat.
Yeah, Katie's cats were on one, and a lot of things had to get edited because there was a lot of fights happening.
Yeah, they did have an outburst.
Those are my favorite videos to get from Katie. She'll send a random video of her cats just fucking each other up, like sitting there looking at each other, and then suddenly there's like a street fight happening.
Yes,
in her apartment.
Yeah, it is very like it's. Yeah.
They're psychopaths.
It's like I splice in a section of like WWE SmackDown where like someone's on the top of the ropes doing like an elbow jump drive down onto them. And
I love your description of the WWE, by the way.
Yeah. I'm sure PK and our editor are going to love that description too.
Yes. Or when we started dating and I was like, oh, you watch Big Time Wrestling? He still has not recovered from that line. Still talks about
big time wrestling.
BTW. is his other nickname for wrestling.
But then when our partners met each other, they were like quoting Randy Savage back and forth. And that's how they fell in love.
And then they just like go down this, it's just like a shtick they get caught in, and they just can't stop the Randy Savage voice. And it's like, please, we have moved on from Macho Man. Nobody else wants to hear this. Anyway. That's how I feel about that.
Anyway, we had lunch. Garrett made us some mac and cheese.
Yep.
And now we're going to talk about sensory processing disorder.
I feel like I'm going to be attacked a lot of times during this episode.
You might. It's interesting. This has also led me down another topic that I'm going to cover later on.
Cool.
But that topic is super dense, so I didn't have time to like really get into it while doing this, so I figured I'll just make it a separate episode.
And also, we don't have a boss, so we can do whatever we want.
Yeah, you're not the boss of me, Garrett.
No.
Anyway.
I love that the line before that was, we don't have a boss.
You can't tell me what to do. I'm grown.
Right, that's the design.
Yes, Katie. Yeah.
That's not the algorithm, that's just us.
Algorithm.
That was rough.
Yeah, so sensory processing disorder, which is something that I stumbled upon when I was doing our stimming episode.
We talked about doing an episode about this like ages ago. Mm-hmm. And then, weirdly enough, lost focus and did a million other things in the meantime, and now we're back.
Yeah. I think the holidays happened.
I'm sorry.
I think the holidays happened, and like, again, saw it in the context of something else. Holidays happened, then someone got pregnant.
Yes.
And so then we had all the interviews and all this other stuff. So.
And, yeah.
Yeah, so we got sidetracked, but now we're back. So, sensory processing disorder is a condition in which the brain has trouble receiving and or responding to information that comes in through the senses.
Yep.
So
makes sense.
It used to be called sensory integration dysfunction, but is not currently recognized as a distinct medical diagnosis.
So they like file this under other things.
Yeah.
Like autism spectrum or
so
ADHD.
Yes. So as mentioned in our stimming episode, the American Academy of Pediatrics does not permit or recognize SPD being a standalone diagnosis, so it must be accompanied by something else like ADHD or autism.
Okay.
SPD is not included in the DSM-5 or in the ICD, which is the International Classification of Diseases that's used by...
I've not heard of that.
Yeah, me neither, which is why I have the explanation of what it is.
Yeah, helpful.
I was like,
because I have not... Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
Used by the WHO.
I thought it was DSM or bust.
No, I guess not.
Interesting.
So symptoms, SPD can either cause you to overreact to stimuli like sounds, food textures, clothing, etc., or it can cause you to underreact to sensory input. So that
I literally can't even fathom underreacting to sensory input.
Well, so the second one we've heard of before in the context of ADHD, it can cause you to crave more intense thrill-seeking stimuli, like children when you like jump off tall things or swing really high on the swings.
I've never had that flavor of ADHD.
Oh, I did.
Oh, God, no.
Oh,
I am risk averse in every way possible.
The tire swing, like getting it to go as high as possible and spin around as fast as possible, that was...
Just the thought of that made me want to puke for a second.
Oh, you're pregnant.
I think even with not being pregnant, I would probably still want to puke. Just the thought of like something spinny at this point. I told you about that thing I read with the inner ear fluid, right? Did I tell you that? That as you get older, like, so when you're little, you have the most inner ear fluid. So when you do something spinny like that, you can like super quickly recover from it, which is why little kids are always like spinning and stuff. The reason adults don't like it is because as you get older, I don't know if it's that the fluid is like less mobile, if you have less of it, but it literally like your body is less tolerant of it, and it has a harder time regulating as you get older.
Dry out like a raisin.
Yeah, that's what we learned about in the hormones episode too. Mm-hmm. On menopause.
Yeah,
everything dries out. Your inner ears, your vagine, everything.
So also, though, having SPD is not just one or the other. You can have a combination of both versions. So you can have like a problem with certain textured foods and be thrill-seeking or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, a lot of the examples I found were talking about the presentation of SPD in children.
Okay.
Even though they acknowledge that a lot of times that same aversion or seeking out of stimuli will carry on into adulthood. But children might be oversensitive if thick clothing feels too itchy, lights are too bright, they're hypersensitive to loud noises, they can think that soft touches feel too hard, food textures can cause gagging, poor balance or clumsiness, afraid to play on the swings, reacting poorly to sudden movements, touches, noises, or lights, and quote-unquote behavior problems, to which I said, excuse the fuck out of you, familydoctor.org.
Yeah, I mean, do I maybe screech when something is a really horrible sound? Yeah, maybe I do. Is that a behavioral problem? No, it's not.
Well, and it's the thing of what that we talked about in medical bias, where it's like, you know, these things that get categorized as behavior issues then get misdiagnosed as conduct disorders instead of like potentially a learning disability.
And then ultimately a kid gets labeled as a bad kid.
Yeah.
Instead of maybe minor accommodations that would help them drastically being made.
Right. A child might be undersensitive if they can't sit still. They seek thrills like jumping, heights, or spinning. They can spin without getting dizzy. They don't pick up on social cues, don't recognize personal space, chew on things, including their hands/clothing.
Suck their thumbs.
Mm-hmm. Seek visual stimulation like electronics, have trouble sleeping, and don't recognize when their nose is running, which I thought was very specific, but it makes sense when it's like, how can that not be bothering you kind of thing.
Yes, I get it, but I'm repulsed at the thought.
I just keep thinking of like those toddlers with like the permanently chapped upper lip.
Oh my god, it's just like
it's like I don't know why you're gagging. It's gonna be your life. It just skeeves me out.
I can't like. There is one thing. Even as like a little kid, I was so seeing somebody like no.
So are you not going to be using the nose, Frida, or?
I think it's a great tool that I personally will not be administering. We actually had friends that were staying with us, and they
use the butthole one for farts.
Yeah, I can handle poop stuff. I can't handle mucus, and I can't handle barf. Specifically,
I feel like the barf thing will change.
I'm sure, like, I won't have a choice, and it'll be like trial by fire. But in the meantime, I'm going to avoid it at all costs because I can't. Like, if I'm a sympathy puker, so if somebody else is puking, I will start puking. Like, if I'm sick and my spouse comes in to like comfort me, I'm like, get the fuck out of here. I appreciate the gesture, but you can't be in here.
When your spouse is sick, is your reaction also get the fuck out of here?
Yeah.
I don't want to be around you.
Yes, you need to go someplace else and puke. I can't hear you puking because I'll puke.
Well, good luck to little baby.
Yeah. Sorry. I'll help you with poop stuff though. But I can't handle barf. And mucus, oh my god, like, nope. And even it's funny, like, my mom's a nurse, feels the same way about mucus. Can't handle mucus.
I don't know if my mom has any, like, aversions like that.
She can handle puke and all of the other gross things, but not mucus.
No, my mom does it all. Or at least does with us.
Yeah.
Although I've also heard that, like, once you become a parent, it's like your kid's shit doesn't get to you, but
yeah.
Still I think it's like the thing with, like, dogs.
I was going to say I feel the same way about my dogs. Like, I can handle my own dog's poo.
I can also handle my own pets, like, licking me.
Yes.
But other
no, thank
pets,
you.
like, I'm very selective in, like, how much I'll let them lick my hand or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same way. There's definitely, like, I know that your mouth is gross, but I know the gross.
Yes.
So, yeah, I can't fathom my face being, no, or, like, seeing, nope. The thought of a runny, I just can't. I can't. I'm sorry. You can continue.
So anyway, between those two things, that was a long list. But WebMD noted that people with SPD might be uncoordinated, bump into things, be unable to tell where their limbs are in space, or have difficulty engaging in conversation or play.
Oh, there's my kind.
Yeah. I said for me, I think this is like what manifests as those videos we've seen on like TikTok or whatever, where it's like the quote unquote ADHD walk, where it's like, it shows somebody like walking through their kitchen and like narrowly missing the corner and like, you know, like jutting their hip out. Do you know the video I'm talking about?
No, but I am familiar with the behavior.
Okay. Well, I've seen a couple videos like that. And then it's like, I for sure do that. My brother definitely does it. Yeah, no, I've done that my whole life. And it's like this spatial awareness thing that can come with ADHD.
Yeah, like I'll walk around the same corner 5,000 times and sometimes just walk directly into it.
Yes.
How?
Because you don't know where your body parts are in relation to the rest of the world.
Yeah, that sounds right. Betty spaghetti.
Mm-hmm. So sensory overload, especially in children, can result in a meltdown, which is different than a tampon.
A tampon?
It's different than a tampon.
It's not the same thing.
It's a tampon. Which is different than a temper tantrum, which understood.org notes is different because the meltdown is outside of the child's control. Like it's the result of sensory overload and overwhelm in the brain.
Although I feel like a temper tantrum a lot of the times is an emotional overload as opposed to a sensory. Sorry.
Do you want to finish your thought?
As opposed to sensory overload. I had lunch, so now it's like Katie offered me a seltzer, and I was like, oh, that would have terrible implications.
It'd be that scene in Willy Wonka where they're the never-ending or ever-lifting fizzy drinks or whatever the fuck.
Yep. That's how flat water is to me right now. So yeah, seltzer would just do me in.
So something that did surprise me when I was doing this research is that sensory information that you could be overwhelmed by is not limited to the 5 senses of sight, smell, taste, touch, and sound. There's a couple different types. So there's interoception, which is the thing that helps you feel what's going on in your body. So, for example, kids who have trouble with interoception might have trouble toilet training because they can't register that they need to go to the bathroom. Or they could have like an unusually high pain tolerance. Another type of ception is proprioception. Mm-hmm.
Second try was great.
Thanks. Stuck the landing. The receptors in our muscles that tell us where our body parts are. For example, when you raise your hand in class, you know your arm is above your head without having to look at it. Mm-hmm. That's proprioception. People with poor proprioception might think that their arm is overhead when really it's out straight. So it's just like your perception of where your body is different than where it actually is. It's not, my understanding is like, it's not like a psychosis. Like you're not like
delusional.
Yeah. Or doing like, what's it called? Astral projection.
What's the definition of that?
Okay.
Because I feel like I don't have the right definition of it. I thought that was like a meditative thing.
Yes.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Astral projection, according to Wikipedia, also known as astral travel, is a term used in esotericism to describe an intentional out-of-body experience that assumes the existence of a subtle body called an astral body or body of light, through which consciousness can function separately from the physical body and travel through the astral plane. Makes perfect sense.
Oh, we got real noodly real fast. We went from very concrete things to astral projection.
Yeah, so point being, having poor proprioception does not mean you're astral projecting.
Peter pecked a peck of pickled peppers. That's what that was. There were so many P's in what you just said. Oh, props, because that was good pronunciation, considering.
Thank you.
We're going to get fired by our listeners.
We're on a roll today.
We are.
So we haven't even done the angry episode yet.
Nope. We did the bleak one. We're doing the one where I get attacked. And then we'll do the angry one.
Yeah. So the final type of body sense that we don't hear about a lot is vestibular sense, aka spatial awareness.
Oh, I have bad spatial awareness.
Yeah. So the vestibular system is the part of your inner ear and brain that help you control your balance, eye movement, and spatial orientation.
Oh, that's like why you don't like the scramblies when you get older.
Children with vestibular issues may not know where their body is in space or feel off balance and out of control, like vertigo without vertigo. But this has also been used to explain why children with autism can stim by spinning a lot of the times and don't get dizzy, like you said.
Yeah.
Like they have this like superpower almost where rather than that part of their brain turning into a raisin or whatever the fuck you described, it stays the way a small child would have it, where they don't get dizzy that way.
Right.
And it doesn't affect them. It doesn't hurt their eyes.
Makes you wonder if they've got like extra inner ear fluid.
Maybe
like filled to the brim. So they can just spin without it having to like then resettle.
Right.
Like it helps your brain like kind of.
Did you ever do that science experiment with like a bottle of water or something where you like made it into a tornado and then it settled? Maybe it's like that for them rather than like.
Or maybe they have like more liquid inner ear fluid.
Yeah, it's like more gel hand sanitizer instead of liquid hand sanitizer.
Right. So it's extra tasty. Tune into Patreon.
Perfect for baking.
If
for all your baking needs.
Did not hear that story. We've got some real good stories on Patreon.
Some wild stories on Patreon.
Yeah, one of us will have I just remembered something we should talk about on Patreon.
Yeah.
And then we go off the rails with it, and it's great.
Yes.
Love it.
Yes. Yeah, patreon.com/thebarsankle-high if you want some of that madness. Okay, so what do we do about this? Occupational therapy can help children become more confident with their body movements, which can include playing games that make the child use their arms and legs at the same time. And then at home, you can create like an obstacle course or something to make like play more helpful to the child. And it allows your child to practice through play, quote unquote.
Yeah. I feel like mine improved with weightlifting. That helped me improve my like command of my limbs.
Yeah.
Because I definitely felt...
Because you have to control it through the whole movement rather than like just flinging whatever.
And so much of it is about, doing this one thing to support this other thing.
Yeah.
And it's definitely like a whole body approach when you're doing stuff. So I think that definitely helped my Betty Spaghetti problem.
Yep. So because it's not considered a standalone diagnosis, it's often treated as an attendant symptom to a separate condition like autism. And also because it's not a standalone diagnosis, you don't necessarily need a separate evaluation to get treatment for it. So it can be identified by parents, occupational therapists, pediatricians, psychologists, and neuropsychologists, and school evaluators who use tests like the Sensory Integration and Praxis test and the Sensory Processing Measure checklist. So if your child has another diagnosis and a 504 plan or IEP, which stands for Individualized Education Plan, you can include accommodations for your child's sensory processing challenges. So I really don't know much about actually trying to get an IEP in place. But if you want more information on that and you're listening, understood.org has great resources for parents and guardians who are trying to support their child through a neurodivergent diagnosis and going through school and all that. They have great resources on where to start with getting your kid a 504 or an IEP. Yeah. And while it's not necessarily for everybody, it might be worth seeking out an educational rights attorney to help you if your school district is refusing to assist your child or to honor the IEP or 504 that you have in place. And I've also heard from close friends and family members, like this is purely anecdotal, but that homeschooling their neurodivergent child has been more helpful to them in the grade school age because they're able to get their child different therapies during the day and additional help that they need without making their child feel like they're other or outside from their classmates, which in my opinion, I don't think that IEPs do enough to alleviate the social impact of the educational interventions that the IEP recommends.
Right.
And frequently ends up ostracizing the child rather than from their peers, which creates a whole other situation, but that situation isn't a learning disability, so to speak.
Right.
But you can kind of sidestep that by doing homeschool. And I think at least, for those early formative years in education, it's worthwhile and worth exploring if it's an option for you. Mm-hmm. I know it's not for everybody, but I know my mom has said that if she had to do it again, she would have homeschooled my brother at least. Mm-hmm. And I have a friend now who homeschools all of her children, which, like, God bless her. I don't know that I could do it, but
I'm not cut out for that.
She really had to start though because of the pandemic, and then just decided not to go back because she was going to put her oldest into kind of like a parochial school or a charter school, but for children with different learning challenges. And she started in January, and they had like lots of extra classes. So her child was in first grade at the time, and they were all kids played instruments. And like up here, I didn't start playing an instrument in school until fourth grade, but all kids were playing instruments because the musical enrichment factor allowed them to learn a skill and learn how to read music and other things outside of math, English, social studies, science.
Right.
And she was doing really well, and then the school shut down for the pandemic.
Yeah.
And having a child with ADHD and dyslexia, and she has another condition that we'll get to in a minute. But having somebody like that suddenly switch to virtual learning is just not reasonable.
I mean, adults had a hard time switching to working from home, so.
I recently had a hard time to switching to working from home.
Yeah,
so.
I was setting up a SIGU for you.
Oh, thanks. Generous.
But yeah, I mean, like, adults were struggling, so of course kids were.
Yeah, exactly. But, so, like, basically...
Unless you're that BBC article that said that the emotional or psychological effects were minimal.
Yeah, as we're all here like Oscar the Grouch smoking cigarettes.
Yeah.
Barely holding it together.
That person that was like, I had a funeral for my scissors that broke. So, no. We weren't doing
the person that was like, we had a birthday party for the dishwasher. I died. I died.
It was so good. Yes.
Someone else shared something that was like, we had a glass corner where we would throw our empty beer bottles.
Yes.
So no, I don't think that we were doing okay.
No, we were not thriving. No. The psychological damage was real.
Fuck that study.
That's a hard adjustment for kids.
It's a super hard adjustment, and it's really hard, if you both have to work, then having to make that call.
That's brutal.
It's just a totally different it's a tough decision.
It's like a different lifestyle.
Yes.
I mean, you're drastically changing. And then it's like, do we adjust our entire lifestyle to accommodate this change that would benefit them? Or do we just try and grin and bear it and keep doing what we've been doing?
Right. Never mind, the added expense of homeschooling versus just sending them to regular school. Like I said, you can really see the difference. I can really see the difference in her children and my friend's children in the pictures that she posts of them on Facebook. Her oldest looks so much more comfortable in her own skin.
Oh, that's sweet.
She looks so confident and is trying things, and she just has really come into her own, so it was very clearly the right choice. I don't know that she would have gotten there if she had been kept in standard public school. I think the parochial school was on the right track, but this, like, especially in 2020, by September, they were like, well, we'll try, and it's like that back and forth, it doesn't work for us with ADHD. Like, we need a regular, predictable routine.
Right.
And even with SPD, one of the recommendations for parents was to let your child know ahead of time what a change in the schedule will be.
Yes.
So that they aren't caught off guard by either waking up earlier or, you know, like, even for, like, going on vacation, like, okay, we're going to be, like, even if you're not telling them that you're going to Disney or something, like, okay, we have to get up because we're going to go on vacation. You don't have to tell them where you're going.
Right,
but, like,
we're going to the airport.
Let
and
them
we're
know.
get on the plane. Yeah.
Right, yes, so that they know what to expect, which I feel like we can relate to because we really benefit. Like, as much as I don't like the minutia of planning, I do like knowing what's going to be happening next.
Oh, for sure. Like, you'll see those, you know, like, dumb viral things that'll go on the internet where it's like, my boyfriend surprised me with the thought. I even remember, like, you know, that trend where, like, oh, my boyfriend got a dress for me to go out to dinner and, like, laid everything out for me. And I remember thinking to myself, like, he's not going to want what kind of dress is, like, flattering, is going to fit me. Like,
there's no way that PK would do that because he would think the whole time, I have no idea. Like, I'll lay out a dress that she already, I know, wears.
Right.
Like, he would do that, but he wouldn't, like, get me a new one.
No. Or those.
Never mind that women's sizes are all over the place.
Or, like, when you'll see somebody like, oh, I surprised her with a vacation, or I surprised him with a vacation. I would not thrive in that situation. Like, I would be so edgy because I had so many questions. And what if I didn't pack appropriate things? And no, I need all the details. I don't want a surprise.
The surprise that you guys did for my birthday was perfect.
Right. Small surprises?
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that.
High stakes vacation
Or,
surprises?
like, being surprised with, like, diamond jewelry.
A pleasant surprise, I'm into. A gigantic life-altering surprise? No, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, like, last year around this time, PK came over, because we usually hang out in the middle of the week. And so he came over, and he had brought an Easter basket, which was a delightful
That's really
surprise.
cute.
It was really
That's
cute.
super cute.
Yeah.
But don't surprise me with a vacation. I need to know that I need to be hydrated 2 days ahead of time for a flight. Just listing off different things. I mean, just the thought of that is, like, stressful.
Yeah, no, that's deranged. Yes. Like, yeah, no, that's crazy.
Yes.
It's like, oh, like, for my birthday this year, he, like, planned an evening and just was like, don't plan anything and get dressed up. Cool.
I can handle that.
Right. And then he took me to a restaurant that we'd never been to. We had this whole lovely evening. It was delightful.
Very nice. Small scale surprises, yes.
Also small scale prizes.
Yes. Small scale presents, large scale presents. Just no large scale surprises.
Yeah, I'll take any present. I mean, yeah.
I'm never mad at that.
Yeah.
A treat? Always happy about a treat.
You require them at this point.
I require treats.
You needed a treat to finish lunch.
I definitely finished lunch and then turned to my spouse and said, hey, can you hand me my cookie dough ice cream in the fridge?
What she actually said was, can you just hand me my ice cream?
And he looked at me like I was a crazy person. I was like, I only want a couple bites.
I just need a bite because I need something sweet after I ate lunch. It's for the baby.
I am fully a different person.
And then you took one spoonful and he
went to take it back.
He had to wrestle it from you.
I was like, wait, I want one more.
It's like Chunk in the Goonies when he's like with the Fratellis.
All I can think of is that SNL skit with Chris Farley with the fries. Lay off me, I'm starving. That's me all the time.
Aren't you on a diet?
Lay off me. I am starving. Honestly, I could eat again right now. I just had a ton of mac and cheese, but, you know. Anyway.
That's fine. I believe in you. You should have had your avocado with it. That's what I did.
A professional eater now. So good at eating.
So if you are interested in this topic and you decide to research it some more, just a heads up, you might see something called a sensory diet. It has nothing to do with food. So it's not like a trigger warning thing. It's
Is that one of those pods that you land?
unless you have like texture issues with food. But it's an activity plan usually designed by an occupational therapist that consists of different activities that are designed to address your individual unique sensory needs and can include gradually increasing levels of exposure to uncomfortable sensory sensations.
Yeah, so like exposure therapy to help you.
Right. But it's just referred to as a sensory diet. I don't know why.
Yeah, it sounds like the opposite.
I guess in the sense that like
It sounds like sensory inclusion.
like fruits and vegetables, like technically whatever you eat is your diet.
Right.
But dieting, like it's not sensory dieting. It's a sensory
okay.
diet.
Yeah, it's like a noun instead of a verb.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's another neurological condition called apraxia. Or I've also seen it called dyspraxia. Regardless, it's the same thing. There's like a ton of different types. So that's the next topic that I'm going to look into. Because initially I was like, oh, there's only 2 types. And I was like, cool. I'll just do a quick summary. And then I've like looked into it and I was like, oh, no. That article mentioned 2 types. There's like a billion types.
This big. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think apraxia is a distinct diagnosis, but don't quote me because I'm not sure yet.
Okay.
But it is a neurological condition.
It is a diagnosis.
The Fox doctor has spoken. You can quote me on this. So anyway, so here's a little preview. Apraxia is defined as an inability to correctly perform learned skilled movements, even though the patient feels they are strong and coordinated. Because the primary functions of sensation and motor control are normal, apraxia is considered one of the higher cortical abnormalities seen in neurology. So
explain to me like I'm 5. What is apraxia?
One of the explanations I saw for it, one of the types, I can't remember the name because I deleted it because I didn't even want to tiptoe into it yet.
Yep.
But it was like they like knowing how to use scissors, but not being able to actually use scissors to cut paper.
So it's like aphasia, where you have the words and you know the words, but you can't actually say the words.
Yes.
Okay.
Which aphasia might be a type of apraxia. I don't know yet.
It could be.
So that'll be something else that I research later on. But yeah, I saw it and I was like...
Is that like something you can work on?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Like you can rechannel your brain to...
Well, it's like occupational therapy.
Oh, interesting.
You would like build up those...
Because I can't imagine anything more frustrating than that.
It can be really frustrating, especially as I would imagine like a parent where it's like, just use the fucking scissors.
Yeah,
like
just put your shoes on.
Right.
Yeah.
So my friend's, one of her children has apraxia and works on it in OT. And then another one of her children has sensory processing disorder and is in feeding therapy to allow her a safe place to be introduced to new textures, smells, and tastes. So it can manifest in a bunch of different ways, but it's sort of that thing of like, oh, they're just a picky eater, but like, are they a picky eater or are they like gagging because they're trying to eat this food, which is not a normal reaction.
Right.
Kind of like, I know like a lot of babies, they're finding a lot of tongue ties lately.
Mm-hmm. Pretty horrific how they fix that too.
Well, yeah, but it's that or don't eat.
I know, just the thought. Like, do you ever like get a cut underneath your tongue, like where your tongue meets the bottom of your mouth?
No, but I don't keep any razor blades in there anymore.
It's like if I'm trying to get something out of my teeth sometimes, or if I like am too enthusiastic about trying to get something out of my teeth, well, sometimes that will like cut.
I mean, I've cut the frenulum.
Ooh, that I haven't done.
Yeah, I tripped in like preschool on one of the sidewalks in downtown Albany.
And what happened?
I fell and it ripped. I got an episiotomy basically on my frenulum between my upper mandible and my upper lip, and it just ripped. And then they took me to the ER. And I thought I told this story before.
You did tell the story. Now that you're saying that, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Did I tell you the story about when I was in kindergarten and I was running a race and I fell flat on my face? And my spouse asked me what was wrong with my hands, that I didn't catch myself. He was like, who does that? Who just falls on their face like that? And I was like, I don't know, I was fucking 5, man.
My father-in-law does that.
I was...
Ask PK to demonstrate.
I was trying to win a race and probably doing my Xena call, to be honest.
Probably.
And was not focused on my hands.
Oh, baby Garrett doing a Xena call.
Man, I loved Xena. There was no 5-year-old who was a bigger fan than Xena.
Xena, and then the New Adventures of Superman with Dean Cain.
I didn't watch that.
Oh, I
wasn't
did.
into. I was more of a Batman fan than a Superman fan.
I didn't distinguish between them as a child.
Oh, that sounds like an unusual thing for Katie. You just lumped them in together.
Muscly man with a weird suit and a cape. Got it.
Who's the muscle man with the cape? You know that show?
Who's the guy? You know when you do a thing and you dream and you have, and then you
and you wanted to do so much you could do anything? Yes, I'm familiar with that child who is now an adult.
So,
see, it's funny that somebody else did virtually the same thing at a similar age. He can suck it. He's wrong.
Yeah, I have a little, like, bump there on the frenulum from the scar.
Yeah, I, like had road rash on my, like, lip, nose, and, like, gum. Can't believe I didn't knock a tooth out.
Yeah.
Landing on asphalt like that, but anyway.
Kids are more like clay. They don't,
thank God,
bruise up as much. But, you know, if you struggle with sensory stuff, I also saw something that was like, well, like most things, this is a spectrum. And I was like, oh, suddenly.
Oh, everything's a spectrum. Nothing's a spectrum, and now everything's a spectrum.
We broke the case first. Let it be known, obviously. Anyway, you can use a fidget item or something like, I don't know, a calm strip to kind of help ground yourself. And I said, or things that Garrett can especially relate to, wearing earplugs for noise sensitivity.
Yep.
And being aware of routine changes in advance to avoid overwhelm.
Yes.
And taking small exercise breaks.
Yep.
To reset your neurologic system.
Yep. Oh, there was also that tip that I was telling you that I read for kids, but I feel like it goes for adults too. Like when you get overwhelmed, like especially on a sensory level, to take a shower and have a popsicle, or to sit in the tub with a popsicle, and that helps your, like, what's the word I'm looking for?
Neurologic?
Yes, it helps you do, like, a neurological reset. And, like, ground yourself a little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what we were talking about, but it was, like, temperature therapy.
Yeah.
Like, for panic attacks and stuff.
Yeah, like, I've sometimes, I'll notice, especially, like, in the wintertime or, like, around the holidays, like, you do totally get, like, oversaturated, like, with people and noise.
Stepping outside into, like, a cold area, like, from a holiday party especially, is, like, so soothing.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my, I could pass out right then. It is so nice. Like, I'm instantly calm.
You're like, oh, whew, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, it's a good feeling.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think those, or sometimes, like, drinking really cold water is another good one. But, yes, definitely, and making sure that you've had something to eat.
Yeah.
It's another good way to have a meltdown.
It is. And it could be that, like, you're struggling with recognizing what's going on in your body, so you're not recognizing that you're hungry.
Yes.
Or you take some ADHD meds that suppress your hunger signals. So
you don't even realize.
Right. So, yeah, do that check-in and see, you know, when was the last time I ate a meal? And if it's been like 3 or 4 hours, that generally means it's time for you to eat again. So it's okay if you're hungry.
Yes.
You don't need to stop yourself from eating.
Yeah, like I would definitely try and give myself reasons why I should be able to eat. Like, okay, well, you did this and you did this, so now it's okay for you to have something to eat. Or, you know, you've gotten these things done, so now you can have something to eat, as opposed to just being like, oh, I'm hungry, I'm gonna eat a banana. Mm-hmm. Ridiculous. Anyway.
Which one are you saying is good?
Now I'm hungry, so I'll eat a banana.
Oh, okay.
As opposed to gatekeeping food with myself for no reason.
Okay, that's where I was going with it, and I was like, yeah, that's disordered eating.
That
but
sounds bad.
I didn't want to call you out if you were like,
that sounds really terrible.
That's exactly what I do, and then I clean until I get such and such done, and then I'll allow myself to eat.
Well, that's what I used to do. Stop doing that, Garrett.
Yeah, don't do that. That's mean. Stop being mean to yourself. You're just hungry.
No, now if I wait until I'm really hungry, I've waited too long, and I'm a monster.
Really, you're a monster and a half because the baby is...
I will Hulk smash if I have not eaten something and I'm hungry.
Yeah, the baby is like the furnace of your rage. Mm-hmm. Just shoveling coal into it like the engine room of the Titanic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are on a crash course if I don't eat something, for sure. The ship will sink if I don't get food in me.
Out of spite, I will sink this.
Yes.
I will sink this ship right now.
Preferably a carb. That's preferred. Maybe fruit, definitely a carb. Without a doubt.
Fair. But yeah, that's what I have on sensory processing disorder, so.
Yeah, I really think about, it's definitely stuff that I didn't really realize until we started doing this podcast.
Yeah.
But noises I have a hard time with. I was just talking downstairs about when my sleeve gets wet.
Yes.
Well, now I gotta change my shirt because I can't deal with a wet sleeve for an hour.
Yeah.
Or a wet sock. Mm-hmm. In no world. No.
Yeah. No, yeah, no, that's fair. I would always struggle, especially in the winter, playing in the snow, and if any snow got in my boot, game over.
Or up your sleeve.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm done playing. It doesn't matter that it took me 45 minutes to get all this shit on my body. And I've been out here for 3. I'm done.
Just really the whole thing. I remember as a kid, that is there's, now that I'm thinking about that, there are so many.
We're coming in and
sensory,
having, taking my boots off, snow pants are soaked, and then trying to, stand on my tiptoes so that I could just step out of my snow pants and not get my feet wet and cold. And
because you're at school. It's not like you have a change of socks.
Not even at school, at home. I would freak out.
We would bring our snow stuff, so which meant you had to carry in a grocery bag your snow pants and your snow boots and your extra hat and extra glove, blah blah blah, the whole nine. And then they allow kids a whopping 20 minutes to play outside, so you'd get into all this stuff, then go outside, and then you're sweaty but also cold with the runny nose situation. And then everybody goes inside and everybody has to get out of that stuff. But that means
it's the
snow on the floor, and then the floor is wet and you're stepping in it with your socks and trying to.
No, it's the thing that will set me off against the patriarchy and these behavioral expectations, because it's why wasn't this caught? That I had ADHD as a child when I had such fucking problems with this, but it's because I had been trained to not freak the fuck out when I was uncomfortable.
Yes.
So
the attitude, especially, I was in Catholic school, was basically sit down and shut up. Get over it. Whatever your beef is, get over it. No wonder as an adult, I'm why are you having such, I will beat myself up over something stupid.
Yeah.
Or gatekeep food. Those behaviors, that's definitely a pattern of behavior that even now I'm why am I doing this?
Yeah, we have to do our, actual diet culture episodes.
Oh, yeah, we do.
Before you leave.
Yeah, it's really something that, with all different here's a perfect example. So I'm getting ready for work the other day, and I'm slicing up an apple, and I can tell from the way I'm slicing it, it's mealy. And I'm just slice up the apple and eat it. And then I was no, why the fuck am I going to sit here and eat this gross-ass apple? No, I'm just going to get another apple, and I'm going to throw this apple away because it's not good. Mm-hmm. But I was going to sit there and force myself to eat this gross apple.
What I would have done is,
who is making me do this?
I'd bring it to work, and then I would avoid it all day because I know it was mealy.
Yeah.
And I'd have, like, a bite of it so that I could say, like, well, I tried.
And it was mealy.
Right, like, I tried, it just didn't taste good. And it's like, well, honestly, if it was an orange and it, like, the orange was, like, that disintegrating, like...
My God, or when it gets dry.
Yeah.
Nope.
I wouldn't even bother trying to eat it. Like, why am I doing this with apples? Like, but yeah, it's the same thing. Like, where it's like, well, I have to try. Like, you have to give it, like, no, I don't.
I literally will sit there and I have to say to myself, like, why am I making myself do this?
Yeah.
Or why am I making myself do something unpleasant? Nobody's making me, and B, I don't have to. So what the fuck am I doing?
Right.
And it is totally, like, when I think back, it is definitely that, like, Catholic school, regimented, inflexible, no accommodations way of doing things. Mm-hmm. Man. It's crazy. It is like this. I still am amazed. Like, when we go through stuff, I'm like, oh, shit. The revelations that you have, because it's like...
Yeah.
As I sit here and can't handle something touching something else or something being damp or
you have to have your spouse tuck you in at night so that cold air doesn't touch
go down my back. I don't want the cold air to go down my back. But again, it's one of those things where before I just would have like laid there and been uncomfortable. And now I'm like, I'm also trying to get better with like asking for help with things because I'm also one of those people that like I really am at the point, like, I can't be putting myself in these perilous situations trying to do things. So I have to ask for help because I'm not just injuring myself now, potentially. I'm injuring somebody else. So,
well, yeah, and you're also kind of, like, you're physically getting to that point in pregnancy where, like, you won't be able to reach those things. Like...
Yep, it's happening very quickly.
Yeah.
Quicker than I would like.
Yeah. Like, you need help to get off the couch.
I sure do.
Much to your dog's...
Yeah, I don't know why he just flies off the handle, but man, he is like way triggered by that and just screams as though I'm being injured. Like he's literally doing it like to protect me. Like that's his tone. Which
is nice, I guess. It's just bizarre that it's the person that lives with them helping you.
Yes, like we're all friends here.
No!
Screaming. Just outright screaming. So yeah, I think it's really interesting to, look back on things and I realized like, man, as a kid, like I definitely had an issue with. It's kind of like when we were talking about like excessive activity and like fidgeting and like hair twirling.
Yes.
I remember being like 8 and sitting in class and playing with my hair and my teacher, we were like working on a worksheet and my teacher yelled at me about playing with my hair.
I don't remember getting yelled at as a child for doing that, but I remember getting yelled at as a 29-year-old by my partner.
Yeah, like, excuse the fuck out of you.
Like, because it made me look ditzy. And I was truly offhandedly doing it. Like, I wasn't even paying attention.
Right.
To, like...
Because it is literally like a fidget.
Yes. I was stimming. Yes. Like, it was nothing. And...
I'm actually doing it to help me focus.
Yeah.
But fuck you very much.
Yeah.
Just fucking...
No, I mean, I'm with you, but yeah, no, it's, it is that thing, and I hope that we're getting away from the extreme disparities in diagnosing young boys versus young girls, but, the neurodivergent nurse had that International Women's Day episode.
Oh my God!
Where she talked about the changes in the diagnostic rates, and yeah, they're better than they were in the 90s, but they're still diagnosing boys 3 times more often than they diagnose girls.
And more
ADHD.
specifically, white boys.
Yes.
So the fact that she pointed that out and it was that triggering for people.
Triggering for men, but also for some women. Like, I'm sorry, girls, but like, they don't need you to defend them. They're fine.
That's internalized misogyny.
Right.
Like, it's so deeply ingrained, you think it's your own idea.
Oh my God, I could not. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, bless her for taking that on because that was fucking wild. Yeah, but no,
that's why I can't.
And we got that weird message from somebody else who, like, because of her post, was like messaging me.
Yes.
On our Instagram.
Very upset.
Yeah, like calling Jamie a narcissist and all this other stuff. And I was like, she just said that women have a different experience with ADHD. Like,
it's almost like men are the more sensitive ones. That's so weird. It almost seems like the opposite of what we've been taught.
But I have a snowflake calm strip on my phone, so I'm the snowflake.
Yes, you're the snowflake.
Yeah, don't take that from me.
I am beautiful and unique. Every one of us is different and beautiful and unique. And you know what's so shitty is like the fact that, you know, that's one of those like buzzwords, kind of like woke, where they just like wring any meaning out of it. But like, so you think about the meaning of a snowflake. Did you see that
clip of the person
trying to explain
what woke meant?
She was like, this is going to go viral. But it's like,
she couldn't articulate what the fuck she meant.
Right.
But she was using it as an insult. So
correct. As like a
it's a dog whistle.
Yes. And you think about like snowflake meaning this attitude that people are like unique and different from one another. I'm sorry, is that a hot take? Is that controversial that people are just different?
Right, like I don't want you to treat me like the person next to me by virtue of they're also white and female. Like right. I could have a totally different experience than them.
We're just sitting next to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's
kind of like people like political correctness. I'm like, that's a fake, that's not a thing. It's not a thing. It's just not being an asshole. That's all it is.
Right.
You've got a whole group of people being like, hey, can you not call us this term? It's kind of offensive.
Use a slur to describe me or my family? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a snowflake. Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Well.
Yeah, eat shit.
Eat dick, Harvard. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Bars Ankle High. We did manage to still somehow go off the rails with the patriarchy.
Well,
you're welcome.
If not us, who? If not now, when?
I wish you could have seen the look that the really thoughtful expression she just had. If not now, when? Oh my God. So make sure to tune in next week. Maybe we'll be talking about some PMS and PMDD stuff, doing some more hormone stuff. I'm trying to think what else we have up and coming.
I have a whole list in my backpack. I'll show you it later.
Oh, cool. Okay. And other things.
TBD.
Coming up.
Etc.
Yep. And I don't think there's any other items. Make sure to follow us, especially on Instagram at The Bars Ankle High. And check out our website at thebarsanklehigh.com. And become a toe ring, anklet, or limbo champion.
I always stutter with it too.
At patreon.com/thebarsanklehigh.
And check out our merch at bit.ly/anklehighmerch.
Billy.
Oh my God, I know. You were waiting.
I was.
Like Sophie waiting to slap Cole across the face.
She saw the look on my face, like my pupils got big. Like,
yeah, like a cat.
Finish it.
Cat watching a laser pointer dot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was me, waiting for Billy.
And until then, yeah. Stim if you need to, and
maybe go into one of those sensory deprivation pods.
And shit on the patriarchy every chance you get.
Yeah, I didn't know where that shit was going, but I was like, shit in the pod? That's a bad idea. Don't shit in the sensory deprivation pod. Shit on the patriarchy.
Because the bar's ankle high.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be here next Thursday with another episode to tingle your ear holes. In the meantime, the best way to support us is to follow us on Instagram at @thebarsankleHigh and to subscribe and leave us a 5-star review on your preferred podcast streaming platform. It seems really simple, but it really is the best way to help us out, especially whenever you can actually write out a review. Great news! We have a new merch store that ships internationally and allows you to customize your merch on an endless array of products. You can head over to bit.ly/anklehighmerch to check it all out. If you want even more ankle high hot takes in your life and have a few dollars to spare, you can also join our Patreon at patreon.com/thebarsanklehigh. There's 3 different tiers to choose from: $2 toe rings, $5 anklets, and $10 limbo champions. Everybody gets monthly horoscopes written by yours truly. Anklets get bi-weekly Dysfunction Junction episodes, and Limbo Champions get all of that plus ad-free episodes, and they get added to our close friends list on Instagram. So head on over to patreon.com/thebarisAnkleHigh and join today. Until next Thursday, remember to be kind to yourself because the bar is ankle high.